I got this question from a subscriber on YouTube, and she is just had it with dating. She's so nervous during the pandemic with meeting up anybody, with doing anything physically with them. She's immune compromised, and she also wants to be safe. And we know that COVID is a real thing, and it's a real thing all over the world, no matter who you're dating or where you live. So she brought up the idea about sexting, and there's also a Zoom type sexting, which she said, never, no way will I do that. But phone sexting, she was interested in, but she also had many apprehensions. And I don't talk a lot about sexting because on the most part, I think you have to be so careful. Because remember, I work with couples, and I've been through divorces and different allegations legally that they charge each other with, and it many times involves sexting. And so my first inclination is to tell you, you have to be very careful. But it can help you get to know someone and enjoy intimacy with them in what would be a physical way, but you're separated. And I think especially if you have a long distance relationship, it's very helpful. So I'm going to go through some pros and cons and then give you a few ideas at the end of this. So the pros are, it is physically safe. Like, you're not going to get COVID or any virus via sexting. So in that sense, it's extremely safe. Second pro is that it helps you set up boundaries. You're not face to face with this person, you're not looking at them, you're not actually in the act, so you're on your phone, and so you can be very clear about what you're okay with, fantasies you enjoy, fantasies you don't enjoy, and it helps you bring out some of those issues that are awkward for a lot of couples to talk about before they actually engage in physical sex. And things like contraception, things like, are you looking for more of a relationship? What are you looking for in a relationship? What would monogamy mean? Many people don't talk about that, and they end up having terrible sexual experiences, and then they find out later that that's how the person felt. So I think sexting opens that up because you are in control of what you send and your boundaries. And thirdly, it gives you ample room. You can explore all your desires because, basically you're on a phone and you're not with this person, as I said. And if this especially is a newer date, you have nothing to lose. I mean, okay, it's another person that maybe rejected you, but chances are they won't reject you. And I also think if it's a relationship that's really good, like you go, man, this can be something, then it gives you kind of ideas of what you can do when you're physically with them that are going to complete their fantasy or make them aware that you really listened and you were truly engaged with them. And I think that feels really good, and it helps support a relationship. Now, these are the cons. And these are the things I see in my office. So if it seems like I'm coming down heavier on these, don't be alarmed. It's just because I'm a therapist. And when you're a licensed therapist, you get pulled into courtrooms for these kinds of things. So it's important that you make your boundaries now and then you follow through with these. The first issue is trust. If you don't really know this person, then you want to be careful what you send them, because they never delete it and they keep this stuff, and this could come back to haunt you in the end. Basically, I think working a trusting relationship takes a long time, and this is where I caution people, don't rush. Go slowly with this part. Before you send anything you could later regret, and we'll talk more about that. The issue of your safety, like no matter what you say is a fantasy, you're not going to have to worry about it because you have the safety of distance, and this person is just someone you're talking to. If you're nervous that the person you're talking to is a psychopath and maybe may come knocking on your door to try and fulfill your fantasy, then for goodness sakes, listen to your gut from the beginning and don't tell them. But sometimes your fantasies, when you share them with another person and they're validated, they help you feel more comfortable, more confident in your sexuality. And all of us can use help with that. So I think those are the two big issues. If you're mulling it over, and I encourage you to, and kind of weigh it in your mind, the best thing to do is to go slowly. And this is what I recommend. This is a safe way to basically sext and not destroy yourself or end up feeling bad about yourself, but it also opens up conversation. And remember, the more you can communicate, the more you can converse about deep things to you, and our sexuality, our intimacy is one of those things, then I think it's going to help you. The first thing is share exotic or erotic stories. I love hearing my partner read to me when I'm away, especially if it's a good romance or erotica. That just makes me feel so close to them, and it makes me miss them. And when you've been married a couple years, that's really important. Secondly, you can set up a movie sex date. You can decide to watch a movie together, one that's going to enlighten you both. And then you can set up the same meal, share that meal, enjoy the wine, talk about the movie, pause it for each other when each other wants to pause it. I think that's really neat too. And play a game. There's a game called Have I Ever? And you ask these questions, and many of the questions are silly, but they also begin conversation, and you get to know that person really well. And I think that helps a lot with opening up and exploring who this person is and making you feel close. And you can answer these questions in a flirty, sexy way that, it will either bring the relationship closer, or it will tell you that this is not a person that you're really interested in. And then lastly, you could make a yes or no or maybe list together. And when you're dating physically, a lot of couples do that. It's kind of fun, it's playful, but I think it should go into setting boundaries, because yes, no, or maybe, the maybes are what you go, let's talk about that. What is that? I think you could bring up the idea of fidelity, or, what is cheating? When have you crossed a line? I think those issues are very important in talking to each other, sexting, keeping it light, keeping it flirty, and just being yourself, which is the sexiest thing of all. So I hope this helps you.